Welcome you to 3.7 FM Ibadan. I'm your sports pal. My name is Tobi Akintola. Well, we're talking extensively about what happened yesterday at Anfield between Liverpool and Manchester United. Of course, United fans are not really happy this morning. They are not happy today. They've been very sad since yesterday. Of course, it is what it is. It ended yesterday 7-0 in favor of Liverpool at Anfield. I've got Tumishe Akomolafe in the studio this evening. Tumishe, good evening.
Yeah, a beautiful evening to you, Toby. You know, after that fantastic weekend, trust me, it feels good to be back right here once again talking football-related matters.
Okay, before I know you have a lot to say. You have a lot to talk about from the weekend, but let me just put a call through to a United fan. He's not really happy. Today he's not been happy. I mean, United lost scandalously yesterday, and for the first time in a long time for United fans, they are angry right now. So let me put a call through to him.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening, Victor.
Good evening, Toby.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well, Victor Jejeniwa is a Manchester United fan, and he joins us live this evening on the second and evening edition of Sportling on Vintage 93.7 FM Ibadan. Victor, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Toby. Good evening once again.
Quickly, United lost yesterday. We have just 4 minutes or so for this conversation. United lost yesterday to Liverpool. How do you feel after 90 minutes?
Well, of course, I felt like every normal Man United fan should. It was a massively disappointing result. We never expected to go to. Of course, we knew Anfield would be a very difficult place to go, but to go there and lose 7-0 showed a massive lack of character. So I felt really disappointed. Really disappointed.
I mean, so what do you think really caused the defeat yesterday?
Well, I think now is not the time to whine. We only just won a trophy
last week.
So if we were only disappointed by the scoreline because there was
it
a
was
lack of
scandalous.
show.
I mean, 7-0 is too much, right, Victor?
Exactly. Four games than every other top clubs in the whole of top European league. So I think that should come up as a factor too. It showed they played like they were too fatigued. And I think
so United have played so many games within the space of few days, and they are fatigued, right? They're tired.
Exactly. I think that's it. If we don't want to talk
Victor,
about
are you making an excuse for Erin Ten Hag and the players, because the performance yesterday was abysmal, was very poor?
No. If you study Eric has been going about his business without moaning all this while. He never complained about the games coming thick and fast for us. No, and so I wouldn't want to hide as a fan under that we were fatigued. So I just know as a sporter. I mean, if you look at the human science, it's hard to tell as a factor. And psychologically, we were not ready after we went 2-0 down. That was a massive blow.
Okay, you think United can bounce back now? I mean, your target for the season is finishing the top 4. You are third on the Premier League log. It's not as if Spurs is that close to United.
Well, if you know, like you always talk about history and history being part of football.
Yes.
And you can't take history out of football.
Yes.
If you look at the statistics, if you look, I think you've got to credit Erik Ten Hag. We've suffered defeat. Even we've suffered humiliating defeat this season.
Yeah, Brentford, Brighton, I remember.
Yeah, exactly. That Brentford loss, especially, it was a humiliating one as well. As humiliating as Liverpool's, but I think Eric has shown that he has character to work his way around that, and he's proven over time that definitely he can get the results out again.
Okay, just last question. Just tell me one player that was the most disappointing yesterday for Manchester United. You have to be sincere here.
Every single player.
All the players.
The only player I could make a case for yesterday was David De Gea.
He considered 7 goals. He considered seven.
Every of those goals he conceded, there was nothing he could do about it.
Wow. Okay.
So he conceded those goals because he had a very leaky defense that exposed him.
I mean, Martinez used to be a fantastic defender. I don't know what happened to Martinez yesterday. He was just a shadow of himself.
Well, I think if you go back to Brentford's defeat, he was taking off just at half time.
Okay.
And so yesterday he was taking off too because he couldn't compete no further. I still have to talk about it. I think they're just a bit tired. Mentally, they've played a lot of games. They've had to task themselves mentally to find results. But this time around, there was no way they could respond to Liverpool's aggression. Liverpool really came out aggressively against us yesterday, and they got the result.
I mean, you admit that they were a better team yesterday?
Yes, it was a well-deserved victory for them.
Okay. Victor Jejenwa, thank you so very much for joining us on the evening edition of Sportlink for today.
You're welcome, but I can tell you we'll bounce back, Tobi.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. Yeah, before I bring in Malcolm Olafe to Michelle, let me tell you that the 7-0 scoreline with 6 goals coming in the second half also equaled United's heaviest defeat and its biggest loss in the Premier League era. In 1914, Manchester United lost 6-0 to Aston Villa. In 1927, they lost 7-1 to Newcastle United. In 1930, the Red Devils were spanked 6-0 by Huddersfield Town. Other big losses in recent times include the Red Devils' shocking 0-4 defeat to newly promoted Brentford earlier this season. When United's struggle of last season was marked by 0-5 thrashing at the hands of Liverpool at Old Trafford, with Salah scoring a hat-trick. In 2020, the Red Devils were handed a 1-6 spanking by Spurs, which was managed by former boss Jose Mourinho. Where the shift in power balance in Manchester from United to City was marked by the latter 6-1 win over the former in 2011. Where the huge loss would return to haunt then manager Alex Ferguson as his team would eventually lose the title to City on goal difference. Tomishi, good evening once again.
Yeah, good evening to you, Tobi.
Now, we just spoke with a Manchester United fan. Of course, you could see that he's not really happy. But as a football analyst, what do you think went wrong with United yesterday?
Well, I think Victor has really said well. I do share one or two of his sentiment of what he actually spoke about. But the fact remains that Manchester United yesterday went from unbeaten to well beaten. Yesterday, they really suffered a disappointing result there. They went to Anfield and, it was not what they expected. Manchester United, for me, I don't think they really need to panic at this point in time. Like Victor said, Eric Ten Hag has been going about his businesses and he never complained about the fixture.
But nobody saw that result coming. 7-0, to lose 7-0 was scandalous. It's not something you expect from a club like Manchester United. I mean, in fact, this morning, Ogbaspor was saying that even shooting stars cannot lose 7-0 to Manchester to Liverpool.
Well, that is what you get. I think Manchester United remains the only club. I mean, let me say one of the clubs that are currently in the whole competition in the Premier League this season.
Yes,
they have this fixture. They play week in, week out in the Premier League and all of these things.
They don't really have a big squad, to be honest, because if you look at those guys on the bench, the quality is not as good as those starting for United. So they can't really ring the changes and probably do what other big clubs do.
But then Liverpool were the better side yesterday, and they defeated Manchester United. It was so disappointing. A very good one for Jurgen Klopp side. They really did well. Cody Gakpo, who chose Liverpool ahead of Manchester United, making his own statement there. Darwin Núñez also scoring a brace, and Mohamed Salah, who is now Liverpool's goal scorer.
Fantastic.
in the history of Liverpool. I think that was a big record for him. I think for me, it was just the fatigue and the tiredness from Eric Ten Hag's side. It showed there was not 100% performance in their play yesterday. The first half was decent for them.
Yes.
At 1-0, I still feel at that point in time Manchester United could still make a comeback, but immediately after they resumed the second half, they conceded another goal, and I think that really rattled them. They were unable to come back from it, and that is what happens when you have this tiredness and you can't compete at the highest level with Liverpool. Anfield is a fortress. You have to go there with your A games.
Lions, then if you go there, you get beaten.
So you have to be careful. Between these two sides, now Liverpool has now scored about 36 goals, 36 goals against Manchester United, which is a lot, because last season they defeated them home and away 5-0, 4-0, and I think this season Manchester United beat Liverpool in the first leg, and that was how their season kick-started. If you could still remember, Tobi, before Manchester United went from unbeaten, they defeated Liverpool back then in I think September, and that was how their season kick-started, and they kept winning that way, and they have been in our competition so far. So far so good. Let's just sit back, relax, because I feel Manchester United will definitely bounce back, as Victor has said.
Okay. Well, Chelsea over the weekend, your team, they won, beating Leeds United by a lone goal. That was the first victory for Chelsea in a long while.
Well, I think they won, but to me, I still feel like a defeat.
Not convincing.
Not convincing. Graham Potter in-game coaching is still something.
And Chelsea will take on Borussia Dortmund tomorrow.
Yeah, we already know what's going to happen there. Because looking at Borussia Dortmund form in their league this season, this year, let me say, they haven't lost a single game this year. And they have been winning their games back to back, competing with the likes of Bayern. They are on same points with Bayern as they stand in the Bundesliga league. So facing Chelsea, who are currently struggling to get goals, what should we expect?
A defender was one that scored for Chelsea. Wesley
Fofana, who just came back from injury, and he rise to the challenge and
what is wrong with Aubameyang, Kai Havertz, those guys you expect to get the goods for Chelsea? This guy Hakim Ziyech.
Well, Chelsea problem, I think, is even beyond the coach and the players. It also deals with the style of play, the compactiveness of this player, and a lot more to even talk about. Graham Potter's side, the win was just, when Chelsea win, it doesn't. Yesterday, on Saturday, it doesn't feel like a win for even a lot of Chelsea fans. A lot of Chelsea fans were even expecting Leeds United will defeat Chelsea on that.
But won't change anything.
It was just.
I've told Chelsea fans that even if you continue to lose, it's more likely that Graham Potter will see out this season.
Well, okay. Putting you on the spot, Tobi, you are an investor. You've spent a lot of money and you're not getting results for it. It will get to a particular time you have to take actions, because you can't just spend money and nothing to show for it. That is what I feel Tobi is just trying to do, trying to take his time and see what happens. At the end of the day, if he's not getting, he has spent a lot of money. So when you spend money, you expect something in return, like some things to show for what you've spent, the value of what you spent.
Value for money.
Exactly. So when you're not getting that, then things are not matching up. You have to change things to make things right. So let's just see what Graham Potter will be able to do with Chelsea. I don't know, this season is gone already. Let me say he will be given a preseason to prove himself, and probably next season to prove himself even better than this.
Okay, let's cross over to the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal had to come back from 2 goals down on Saturday. I remember, watching that game, I was Bournemouth scored arguably the fastest goal in Premier League history, 9 seconds or so, and they scored the second early in the second half. At that particular time, a lot of people were like, hey, Bournemouth will win this game. But Arsenal came back from 2 goals down, and they scored a late winner by Rennessin, arguably with the last kick of the game to win that game. That shows Arsenal's mentality, right?
Well, a roller coaster of emotions for Arsenal there, because when you look at the game, they conceded early, and Bournemouth was able to stood their feet in the first half of the game, and they scored another in the early
second
second half.
And after that time, fans were skeptical. Will Arsenal even come back to get a point? But they got a win.
Well, I think it's a very good win for Arsenal. I think the comeback was fantastic. I think that's the second time they'll be doing that.
Against Aston Villa some weeks ago.
Yeah. So I think it's nice. It shows the winning mentality. It shows their spirit to even fight for more.
They're now 5 points clear of Manchester City.
Yeah, Manchester City, I think they won, but they still have a long way to go, because looking at the way Arsenal fought back, thanks to Thomas Partey who gingered and increased the morale of the team, and you guys kept going. Ben White scored and Nelson, just complete the comeback for Arsenal. A very good one for Mikel Arteta's side.
Okay. Well, let me tell you that by 6 p.m. Nigerian time, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria will take on the Gambia national team. That's the second semi-final of the ongoing Under-20 Nations Cup going on in Egypt. The time for that game is 6 p.m. Nigerian time once again. Napoli lost on Friday. They lost to Lazio by Lungo. Surprising result. Of course, they are still top of the Serie A table. The gap between Napoli and the Inter, who are second, is still wide. I don't think Napoli will be. They will catch Napoli. But they lost to Lazio at home. Victor Osimhen was in action for Napoli, but they still lost that game.
Well, let me say a reality check. Maybe that's to tell them they are not invincible. Yeah. So they have blood.
They've lost a couple of games. This is not so many.
They have blood running through their veins as well. So, but 17 points behind ahead of Lazio is something to talk about. Is a wide
because that means
points.
They need to lose like 5 games consecutively to even draw.
Which is practically impossible for Napoli. So I think the league for them is for them to lose this season, because they need to just keep going match after match till the end of the season. Lazio is second and they are 17 points ahead of Lazio. So fingers crossed. I think for me they have run away with the league already, but it remains to be seen what happens match after match. We can only predict what will happen, but for me I think Napoli are ahead of any other team in the Italia Serie A.
Okay. We are still doing the review of actions over the weekend in major leagues across Europe. Let's now move to Spain. We have analyzed what happened in England. We've done the Italian Serie A. Let's move to Spain. Real Madrid and Barcelona, they are the two clubs. Barcelona is still top of the La Liga team. They won yesterday. They managed a 1-0 victory over Valencia. I watched that game actually. But you still feel that Barcelona will win the league? Is their title to lose? They are going to win it?
Well, as it stands, Real Madrid keeps dropping points. Why? They are heading in their own terms. Rafinha was able to score that long goal for Barcelona, and I think that was enough.
If you look at Barca's record for the
secure
past 10 games, they've been winning by 1-0, 2-1, not really convincing, but they've been getting 3 points.
So what matters is getting the 3 points, and that is what they have just done on Saturday, I guess. So Real Madrid keeps dropping points when it comes to. They played Real Betis and they were unable to find the back of the net, which is something, looking at the quality of the squad, I couldn't believe Real Betis would be able to hold Real Madrid and not to score. That is why we do say in football anything can happen. You might predict on that match on paper. Definitely Real Madrid are the better side, but when it comes to the to the field of play, the reverse is the case. I think they were able to share the point among themselves, and they will have to go again match after match. They still have all it takes to win the league. I'm very confident of that.
Okay, let's talk about lastly, because we have just less than 2 minutes before we get out of the studio. The Flying Eagles will be playing against Gambia in the next 1 hour or so at the semi-final of the ongoing Under-20 Nations Cup. If they're already through to the World Cup anyway. But if they beat Gambia, they go to the final of that competition. Your prediction for that game?
Well, let me first applaud the Flying Eagles for reaching that particular stage. It is not an easy task, which they have secured 2 of their goals going into this competition, and one is securing the World Cup ticket, of which they have done, reaching this semi-final stage. And if they should win this evening, and that's a plus for them, they will be going to the final. So for me as a Nigerian, I think I'm just going to wish them all the best going into that match.
So that get to the final and
exactly.
Win that cup. The Flying Eagles are the most successful team in that the history of that competition. They've won 7 already. So we expect them to make this one the 8th time.
Don't let us forget, sometimes ago, the Super Falcons, despite their dominance in the AFCON Cup of Women AFCON Cup of Nations, they were unable to get it last year. But I hope the same is not of the Flying Eagles as well. So let's just wish them all the best going into this match. Hopefully they're able to get the win and go to the finals.
To Michelle Komalafe, thank you so very much for featuring on the evening edition of Sportlink for today.
You're welcome, Tobi.
Well, that's all time permits on the evening edition of Sportlink for today. For today being Monday, the 6th day in the month of March 2023. I've enjoyed working with my studio manager this evening. That's Ari Dunu. My name is Tobi Akintola. I'm your sports pa. Well, my task for today is done, and I'm out of this studio.